gentleman by the name of David Silverman. He's actually the president of the American Atheist Association, and he is joining us tonight, and I would like for him to say hello.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you, and thank you for having me on the show.
I'd just like to know from Mr. Silverman if he could be wrong about everything he claims to know.
If I could wake up in the Matrix tomorrow.
See, now that's
possible. Look. When you're getting into this, when you use the word "no" in that sense, you're using two definitions at the same time. Okay, I could wake up in the Matrix tomorrow. Okay, the Matrix could be true. I can't prove it's not. I could wake up in the movie tomorrow, and then, oh my goodness, reality has changed. That could happen. Do I know with 100% certainty that that's not going to happen? No, I don't. Does that mean the Matrix is actually plausible? No, it doesn't. I know with 100% certainty that God doesn't exist. I know that with exactly the same certainty that I know that Santa Claus doesn't exist. Now,
but you see the contradiction, though, when you say that you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, and then you say you can know things for certain. And let me explain that, if you don't mind.
For certain is a relative term.
Certain is the problem is you could be wrong about that. That's the problem.
Matrix.
I want to comment here that
it is wrong, taking away the possibility that we could be, in some sort of dream that we could just think up, that we could just dream up. We have knowledge. We know things, and I know things, and so do you.
You're borrowing from my world, because it says in Scripture, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And if you admit that you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, then you've given up knowledge. And I'll explain why that is. Let's say somebody asked what was this. Well, let me finish. I think that we were told we weren't going to cut each other off.
Okay, hold on.
Wouldn't you mind if I could finish?
Okay, just a minute. Hold on.
And I was trying to explain that at that point he gave up knowledge, but they cut me off for another 15 minutes and finally got back to talk to them about that. And I said, this is how I explain that. And I said, let's say that somebody asked me the speed of the road outside the building where we're at now, and I said it was 40 miles per hour, but I could be wrong. Do I know it? No, I don't. So when that fellow says I could be wrong about everything I claim to know, he's given up knowledge. And that's what we say. Unless you start with God, you can't know anything. And at that point, you further go into the gospel that you've exposed that you need Jesus Christ. Because Jesus Christ did not only die to save souls for eternity, he died to save reasoning now. Yeah. Because it's a fallacy. It's self-refuting to say, I could be wrong about everything I claim to know, because you could be wrong about that too. When you say that you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, you've given up knowledge to any degree. Now, if he says that he can be certain about things, then I would ask him how he can be certain about things. He would have to employ his senses and reasoning, and I'd ask him how he knows they are valid. And if he could be wrong about everything he claims to know, he can't know that they are valid. And that's the problem. Greg that interjected as well, and I'd like to ask him that question just to get that on record. Could you be wrong about everything you claim to know?
Again, I know where you're going with this, and I believe I addressed everything, is that, yes, we all can be wrong about everything that we claim to know, including you and Eric, but you're inserting God in as a virtuous circle into your circular argument. Now, let me I just am trying to address it before it comes up, because it's a big sidetrack that we can get caught up in quite some time.
Right. But before we go on, though, when you say you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, you said yes. The very next thing out of your mouth was a knowledge claim about me. And if you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, then you can't know what I can know. You've given up knowledge. So any further discussion tonight presupposes my worldview, because you would have to be intellectually dishonest to say that.
No, it doesn't.
Well, we're going to allow us to finish our thoughts,
let's
right?
Finish the sentence.
You'd have to be intellectually dishonest to claim that an all-knowing, all-powerful being could not reveal things to us such that we can know them for certain. So according to my worldview, I can have certainty. And the two of you have denied knowledge. You've given up knowledge. So really, any further discussion is going to be based on the truth of my world.
I am going to arrogantly assert that it's absolutely impossible that I am wrong about everything I know. I think that is an absolutely absurd impossibility. I know that I exist, and I can't possibly be wrong about that. It's just not even possible. I know that my experience, even if inaccurately perceived, is still nonetheless absolutely my experience. And I know that, absolutely. When we go from, can you be absolutely certain about everything, to you can't be absolutely certain about anything, you have made a jump of logic there that is horrendous.
When you claim that you know that you exist, are you using Descartes' syllogism there? I think, therefore I am?
No.
How do you know that you exist then?
because my own consciousness.
But you realize you're begging the question when you say my own.
Truth.
When you say my own, you're begging the question. You're assuming that you exist. When you say my own consciousness, you're assuming existence and you're begging the question.
Just as you said he was assuming your worldview, for you to even tell me that I'm assuming that I exist is an acknowledgement that I exist.
Right, but the thing is, I can make sense of that.
Unless I did.
Right, I can make sense of your existence according to my worldview. I'm asking you how you make sense of your existence according to your worldview.
Well, let me ask you about your worldview, Si.
Well, you're actually out of the discussion because you said you could be wrong about everything you claim to know. I'm dealing with the person who claims certainty.
Hold on for a minute. Hold on.
Play by that rule.
One of the things that I don't want to happen. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Hello.
Yeah, so really the debate was over right there?
They've taken a step further. They've actually gone from spreading a lie to spreading ignorance. They've actually got people convinced that evolution didn't happen. We know it did. It's absolutely proven. 100% proven, Si, by the way.
But you could be wrong about that.
Yes, we can be sure about that.
No, you said you could be wrong about everything, so you could be wrong about that, correct?
Sorry, I was speaking when you were interrupting.
Yeah, I realize that, but we're allowed to interact, so continue. People are doing today, but when they judge God in Scripture, and I say, if you don't like those things that happen in Scripture, if you're an unbeliever and you die in your sin, stick around.
But the point is, you're introducing.
So your response is a threat? Your response to doubt
No, it's a warning.
Is a threat?
It's a warning.
Come on. Tell me how we're supposed to learn morality, Si, from an immoral book.
You know morality. What is your standard by which you call anything immoral?
I know bears ripping apart children is immoral, and I'm willing to go way out on a limb and say it's bad.
Based on what standard? Based on what standard, Mr. Silverman?
Based on my standard.
And you could be wrong about that.
No, I can't.
Well, thanks for contradicting yourself yet again.
Si, I have a question for you.
Go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. You've given up knowledge. Sorry. We're done with you.
Well, I'm asking you the question, though, so my knowledge isn't important.
I'm really getting
it's only you. You are the source of absolute knowledge here, according to your worldview, or you have access to it. And I'd like to know how you know that.
How do I know that?
What makes you know that God exists?
The thing is, do you know how I can know things for certain? And I'll explain this to you, and it's going to be, maybe a quite a big revelation to you. How I know things for certain? The same way you do, because we all know this God that exists. And you have to have all knowledge or revelation from a God who has all knowledge to know anything. Or you could be wrong about everything you claim to know, and you've given up knowledge.
That?
And that's what's happened tonight.